Welcome to Women Making Waves. Today I have Yene Damtew. She is a salon owner and a hairstylist at Aesthetic Salon. Thanks, Yene. We're going to get right into the questions.
Hey, girl. Thank you, Amanda.
All right. So after 11 years of hair care, what has your journey looked like? Did you always want to be a hairstylist and bless hair? How'd you get here?
Yeah, I feel like hair was always something that I wanted to do. I try to tell people that I think that my purpose in life is to be of service to other people, and hair has just been the vessel that has allowed me to service other people. And I feel like through hair, I'm able to tell people stories, and I'm also able to connect with a lot of different people. And as weird as it may sound, I am an introvert in my personal life, but in my professional life, I'm an extrovert. And so um, it's a place where I kind of get to be someone that I normally am not. I get to be outgoing. I get to talk with a number of people. I get to celebrate women. I get to celebrate the clients that come and sit in my chair. But I started this journey when I was 16. I went to hair school. So by 7th grade, I was braiding everybody's hair in the neighborhood. My brother was my number one guinea pig. And I remember the time I got to high school, it was a rule that if I didn't braid his hair, I wasn't allowed to go out, that my parents made me do, because they were like, well, if you're going to braid hair, you have to braid his hair, because my brother grew his hair out. And in the beginning, I gave him the worst braids. Like, I couldn't part for nothing. My lines were crooked. I'd do half his head and be like, I don't want to do this no more. So yeah, my journey has been interesting. My journey has been unlike anything I could have imagined. And I think looking back, like, my journey probably started about 18 years ago, if you think about when I first was intrigued by hair, or actually pursued hair rather. But when I became licensed, it wasn't until I was 21. So that was several years later. So as I think about where my journey began and where I am today, I would have never imagined that it would have taken me to these heights. And looking back on it, it's just like I have all of these moments that I'm just kind of like, wow, that happened. That was crazy. And I learned that, and I did that, and I lost there, but I celebrate here, right? So like throughout the journey, there's the ups and the downs.
Awesome. You have amazing content. So as somebody who is a content creator myself and have a background in marketing, you are so much more than a hairstylist. And it's obvious that brand management and just equity is important to you. So how did you decide what route you're taking to be doing it so efficiently?
I'll be honest, like, one, I have a degree in business. So I have traditional training where I understood the importance of marketing, specifically social media marketing. But I'll be also honest in saying that I didn't really see the value in it initially, right? Like, I believed in word of mouth marketing, and I felt like that was enough. But when I thought about what I wanted to do within my career and where I wanted to go, and I wanted to be able to connect with so many different people, there was only one option for me to do that, and that was to get into the virtual space, right? And so social media marketing, using platforms like Instagram and Facebook was an opportunity for me to connect with millions of people. So I started to understand that it wasn't a choice, right? Like, it was mandated for me to do if I wanted to go where I wanted to go professionally. So I began to like strategize and use my platform with purpose, right? And so I tell everyone, I have a virtual business coaching program, and I tell my students, it's like, if you post with intent and if you have a purpose and you understand your purpose, then the strategy kind of falls into place and it's easy for you. It takes off the stress and like all the things that you have to think about, like, oh my God, what am I going to post? What is my caption going to be? How am I going to get the perfect picture? Like, where do I have good lighting? When you know what you want to do and what your purpose is with your social media platform, it's easy for you. So yeah, it has become easier for me to create content, but I'll also be honest and share that I didn't do it alone, right? Like, I use planning apps. I had a social media person that would come in and help me take pictures. And then I was able to see that, like, someone was basically telling my story, right? Like they were taking my brand and capturing it through their lens, and they were helping me put that on social media. And then I was able to be like, that's not what I want to say, and that's not what that picture means to me. So it gave me an opportunity to use my voice and use my platform to share my narrative, right? And so people always say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? But on social media, you have a caption that could define what those words are. You don't ever want to leave it up to the audience to interpret it, right? Like they're going to interpret it initially, but you have an opportunity there as well to define it. And so I began to define my photos, and I began to define my social media presence in the way that I wanted to be accepted and how I wanted to present myself to others.
Yes. Okay. I love that. So it's obvious you care about hair care. And so for all of us locked down right now and trying to make the best of what we are given, what is the most overlooked hair care step or suggestion you can give us right now? Save us, sis. Help us out.
Girl. You know, before we got started today, I told you, like, I had to throw on a wig real quickly to make myself look presentable. And I share
This
that.
is the realness we need, y'all. We're
Right?
all in this together.
We're all in this together. I was talking with a client yesterday, and she was just like, well, girl, I'm looking rough. And I said, girl, me too. And she's like, yeah, but that's by choice. And I'm like, it is kind of by choice, but it's crazy because I find myself becoming so dependent on my stylists that work at my salon, because they have spoiled me, right? Where it's like, I used to do everything. I used to do my weaves on my own. I used to straighten my hair on my own. I used to do anything and everything to my hair on my own. And now that I have like a team of stylists around me, I became dependent on them to be like, throw some braids in my hair quickly, like just like 3 or 4 straight backs. And it's like, doing my own hair is a struggle. So I'm right there with everybody else, right? Like it is foreign to me to do my own hair. Now, can I make myself look presentable? I'm creative and I'm a hairstylist, so I have tools and resources to quickly whip something up. Like this wig girl that I have on my head, wigs were not my thing, right? But this quarantine, honey, has made me a advocate of wigs, especially because I'm just like, oh, I'm only doing Zoom meetings. Like you can't really see what's going on, like up close and personal. Like the digital glare is working out in my favor. But in all seriousness, like, yes, I think wigs are a great option for you so you don't have to stress. But I think it's really important to kind of take the signs that the universe is giving us and kind of just letting your hair breathe. I think that, you know, it's about showing yourself authentically and kind of just as raw and real it is. I think that we're kind of being stripped of human interaction has really shown us how much we value each other. And I think it's showing us how much we need other people, and like automated stuff doesn't really work, right? So like I saw a meme that there aren't as many selfies being posted anymore. All these filters, even with the filter, women just don't feel cute. But I say, you know, be comfortable. Do not put too much heat on your hair. Don't try to do your hair. It's not worth the, you know, 30-minute virtual conversation that you're going to have on Zoom or meeting. It's not worth ruining your hair. So make sure that you are, whatever you're doing, make sure that you are feeling equipped to do it properly, right? Like don't color your hair. Get some mascara or like some temporary spray color and spray your grays if you have gray hair, and be comfortable. Go back to the basics. Put yourself in a nice little slick back. If anything, grab some ponytail hair, braid hair, or anything. If you got some extensions, wrap it around your ponytail and make your ponytail bigger. Put a top knot on the top of your hair, and you could still feel beautiful and look beautiful. Like you don't have to be all glammed at every time. Protective styling is great. Put yourself in 2 braids at night. Put some water in your hand. Put your hair in 2 braids at night. When you come out, regardless of your texture, you're gonna have somewhat of a wave there, right? So like, and then, you know, fluff it at the roots to kind of break up the part lines. You could still have a look. It's just not going to be as polished as you're used to. But there's nothing wrong with that. And just remember that all of us are in this boat. We're all in the same position, right? So no one's going to judge you. Going to be like, oh, her ponytail was like a little rough. Her edges weren't laid. Her baby hairs weren't swirling and put in letters and designs in it. Like people ain't going to say that, right? Because we all in this together. And as a hairstylist, right, who's in the same struggle, I had, you know, whatever you want to, I mean, not cabin fever, but the other day I started just cutting my hair. I was like, oh, I had straight pieces. I just kept frying my hair. So I just started cutting it. So God knows what my hair is going to look like when we get out of this. But wigs have been my saving grace, y'all. So find you a good wig, and it's just good. Like I've had this wig laying around the house for the sake of photo shoots. And it's not even a very super expensive wig. But I've had this wig and it works for me, right? So like, I
Mhm.
just throw that joint on when I need to. It's just like, oh, I could transform real quickly. It's always good to have that in your back pocket, right? Like for moments like this, thank God. I've been a huge, like, vocal person about how much I do not like wigs, right? Like, I'm not gonna wear a wig. That could be your thing, but it ain't my thing, sis. But now I'm a believer. I'm
The
a
great, the
believer.
great equalizer. Okay, so we have wigs, we have no heat. We're just gonna be natural and breathe. I
Yeah,
love
or just like put it in a ponytail. Like definitely do some treatments on your hair. Go in your kitchen, add some olive oil to your favorite, or
that.
like some rosemary oil to your favorite conditioner. You don't even have to get no fancy stuff. Look what's in your bathroom, right? Add some essential oils to it. Put yourself in your bathroom and put that treatment on your head. If you ain't got a plastic cap, it's cool. Wrap your head with saran wrap. If you ain't got saran wrap, grab a trash bag and let it like build in that moisture, and really we can all come out of this quarantine flourishing, right? Like there's no
Yes, that
reason.
is what I am so focusing on. You should be coming out of this better than you went in.
Yes. I'm like, y'all better still work out at home. Like, girl, I've turned my office into a gym, I use a base as barbells, as weights. Like I just find, I'm like, oh, that's
Okay.
heavy. I could lift this, right? Like if I sit differently, then it's heavier for me. Or if I put like water bottles, carry water bottles. Water bottles, think about water bottles are heavy. Like a case of water bottles could be the weight, and you could do some
Mhm.
squats or something. Like just we have to be creative, right? Like we're creative
Yeah.
human beings. And I was like, oh no, I'm about to come out of this skinty and flourishing, right? Like that's the goals. Those are my goals. And it's just like, it's making me appreciate, and all of us, we should look at this as a moment to like really be grateful for the things that we have, and that we are surviving with, like, without all the fluff and all the extraness, right? Like I feel like this is like good for everybody. I think from like, even from a beauty perspective, like I just feel like the pressure that little your younger girls are having, because they feel like they have to keep up with the Joneses on Instagram and look beat and have 5-inch nails and 30-inch lashes and all of this craziness. It's
Yeah.
just like now we've been stripped of all of those luxuries. So it's like you have to be you. And I feel like it is bettering us, and we're going to come out of this and we all just going to be better human beings, loving ourselves more and just flourishing.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Yene.
Yeah, girl.
So I also know that you love and find financial literacy very important. Talk to us about that as a small business owner.
Girl. So, financial literacy, I just think as a small business owner, as a female entrepreneur, women entrepreneurs really just, we aren't generally business savvy. And I think people of color, like, financial literacy is just not our strong suit. And I think that is okay. As long as we recognize that. And just because it's not our strong suit doesn't mean that we can't get better. And I think, again, we have to look at the beauty of the situation. This situation is teaching us how to budget. This situation is teaching us, it is forcing us to be mindful of our spending. And especially as a salon owner, it's just like, people are just like, oh my God, what are you going to do? Like, do you want us to prepay for our appointments? I was like, honey, that's debt. Nope. I don't need you to prepay for your appointments. So when we get out of this, I'm in debt with y'all. No, I'm good. I'll just.
Wow. Okay. Please go into more depth about that, because I feel like I have been hearing a cry out for certain service industry members saying like to prepay for this or
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
okay, I love this. Yes, talk to
No,
us.
no,
Everybody,
no,
get your notes
no.
out. You should have a pen and paper. She is going to give you some knowledge.
No, you guys, like, you have to really think about that, right? And understand. People are like, oh, it's supporting small business. Is it? Because what happens when that small business doesn't make it through this crisis? They're going to be out of business. So then what you going to be mad? As the consumer, you going to be mad, or you going to be like, dang, I helped them out? Because at the end of the day, your intent as a consumer, you have to understand, are you genuinely doing this from a place of good because you want to help them? Or because if you just want to help them, you could just send them the money and don't expect a service on the back end. But if you're expecting something in return, they are now indebted to you. And I tell hairstylists, do not sell gift cards. Do not sell things if it's going to put you behind when you get out of this, because then what's going to happen? Did you think through this strategy? So like, do they get preference on booking, or do the client that books get preference? Whenever they want their lashes or their hair done or their nails done, are you going to service them, or their brows done? Or do they get preference, or like, do you have to kick someone else out that's booked and that's paying at that time? Because at that point, now it's just like, who do you value more? You're going to have to figure that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you're going to sell gift cards, if you're going to do all of those things, you need to understand that these aren't normal circumstances. So you have to be prepared for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenarios, we don't know how long all this is going to last. So if it lasts longer than what we are predicting or what we've been mandated, like I'm in Virginia, and it was initially April 23rd. And then now they're talking about, the governor said last week, like, oh, it's definitely not going to, we're definitely going to go into May, and he's going to extend it. So was I, as a business owner, maybe I was banking like, okay, I'm going to sell these gift cards because come April 24th, I'm going to be able to let people redeem them. It's the same thing with all of these like landlords who are just kind of like, oh, we'll defer your payments. And I'm just like, okay, so like my lease is up for renewal at my salon, and they were like, oh, well, we could defer your payments. We could do a deferment for you so that you could sign the lease. We'll defer the first 3 months, and then when you come back in August, you'll start payments. And I'm just like, but I wasn't making money for the past 3 months. And I'm like, if my lease ends, I could leave, not pay rent for 3 months, and then come back in 3 months and get the space again, correct? And he was like, yeah. And I said, so why exactly would I sign a lease when I don't know if this is going to end in 3 months? He was like, well, in 3 months, if it doesn't end, we could renegotiate then. And I'm just like, okay, then that needs to be in my clause that like, if in 3 months we have to renegotiate, and I haven't been working since March. So at that point, we're going to be like, I'm going to be into like month 4 and 5 of not pulling anything in as a business. Like, you want me to be indebted and sign another lease? Nah, bro, that's not a good business move. And so like understanding our budget, understanding our expenses, understanding our overhead, like, and it's times like this that we come out stronger, right? So like, use this time right now to like track your expenses. Use this time to understand your spending habits in the past, because I'm sure all of us have cut luxuries of our lives. Like I went through and I was like, I had subscriptions to things that I forgot I had. And I was like, oh, what's that charge? Because I'm mindful of how my money is being spent, because it's not coming in as easy as it's going out, right? And so I think in the service industry, like specifically in the beauty sector, we are so used to touching money. We have access, we touch so much money that the value isn't there, right? Because it's just like, oh, I just got to quickly do one head. Like, it's like, oh, that bag cost me this, that, and the third. It's like, okay, that's like four weaves and I could afford that bag. But it's like, is it really 4 weaves? Because 4 weaves is like base value, how much that bag is going to cost you. But did you take away all the expenses that it cost you to provide that service? Or you just going for face value? And that's what people don't understand. No one is teaching financial literacy, and no one is teaching small businesses and entrepreneurs like how to make our money work in our behavior. Like for me, if I have a choice, if I'm going to invest into a bag, or if I'm going to put that into a retirement fund or an investment fund, I'm going to choose an investment fund. Let that money just sit there and make money for me, right? Like that bag it's going to depreciate. It's only going to be worth so much, right? So like understanding depreciation, understanding what is going to add value to my life and what is going to make me more money is so much more important to me. I think that, I have clients who've just been kind and are like, look, I've been rocking with you for 10 years. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to give you your tip money. And like, that's something for like, if you're not in the service industry, the service industry needs to recognize people are just like, oh, I'm going to give people, I'm going to sell gift cards. Okay, you're going to sell gift cards. Instead of selling a gift card, give your client a virtual experience. Give them some product recommendations, give them a treatment, or give them a prescription per se for them to do right now. So then they could, even if it's $30 that they're paying you for that, at least you're bringing in income to sustain your lifestyle. It's not as much as you normally make, but it's okay to lower it to $30 because you ain't got no overhead, right? Like maybe your expenses, your overhead is less, and it's going to help you sustain your livelihood rather than your business right now. And then the client is getting something, like they are getting a service. But if you're not giving them a service in return, you are indebted to them, and you have to think twice about that. And I tell a lot of beauty professionals, you have to remember, our reality in the service industry is not the reality of everybody else of our clients. Know your clients, know your demographics. Like, my clients are working from home. I'm in DC. It's a heavily government, like government jobs, or what most people have, or like corporate jobs. They're sitting from the comfort of their home. They ain't going to happy hour. They ain't going out to eat. So they're technically making more money because their salary is still getting paid, right? So like, their reality and my reality is completely different. So if people be like, hey girl, people want to text me, hey girl, what shampoo and conditioner do you think I should use? As much as I really wish that I could educate you on that, I'm a professional and I use professional brands that you don't have access to you. So it's going to take me some time to do some research to give you what you need for your hair type. You could book a virtual consultation for $30, and I will give you exact things that you could purchase for you and tell you how to use it. You're giving them a service and you're getting money back, and you're adding value to them, and your clients will appreciate that. And that you also are telling them, like, what sets me apart is that I don't use something that you could buy at Walmart, or something that you could buy at, not Sephora, but at Target. And there's nothing wrong, or CVS or Walgreens or Duane Reade. Nothing's wrong with these products, but that's not where I go to buy my beauty products. So it's work for me. People have been asking me all the time, and I'm like, girl, give me a couple of days, because I need to figure out, what does this translate to in the consumer world? Because what is in the consumer world and the professional world are two different things, because I'm a professional, right? So what I have access to as a professional is different, because I'm a licensed professional and I buy from licensed stores. So understanding that and having those conversations has been what I've been doing lately with my clients. And it's just like, I'll get you an answer. Like, I will get you an answer, but help me out. Like, you got the $30 to spend, right? And there's a lot of hairstylists who believe, like, oh, if I share that information, they're not going to come back to me. It's like, no, sis, like, you have to remember, you are the magic.
Right. But that makes so much sense, because not only am I going to spend that $30 on buying that product, I'm probably going to buy even more when I see that product doesn't work for me. So at least you're telling me exactly what I need. But at the end of the day, I still don't want to do my hair. Like, I'm coming back. Like, so yeah. I love that. That makes all the sense in the world. And that's amazing that you've been able to identify that. I know that this information has to be so helpful to people right now.
Girl, it's been, and it's a blessing for me too. It's helpful for other people, but it's good to kind of like get shaken up sometimes. Like, for me, financial literacy came to light when I was unable to work for 2 months. I was in a car accident and I couldn't work because I work with my body and I injured myself, so I couldn't. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to be in this position. And that was in 2015. Like, let alone like now, even me who has saved, it's like not being able to bring in income and like do what you love. It makes you realize, like, thank God I have other sources of income. I have multiple revenue streams, but otherwise, girl, I would have been hurting right now. Like, my industry is hurting right now. There are a lot of people who are okay, but there are a lot more that, are struggling in the service industry in general. And so understanding that and knowing that is important. So educate yourselves, don't just budget when you're in time of crisis, because just think back to the days when you were in college or when you were younger. Girl, your mama gave you $20. That $20 was going to go a long way.
Yes, it was.
To barter services.
Call before it was your time to get your
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Your mama going to be like, well, girl, you better figure it out.
Figure it out. What do you want?
You figure it out. And just like right now, we figuring it out. But when we got it, we got to figure it out too.
Well, thank you so much, Yene.
Thank you for having me.
So beneficial. Everybody, I have Yene's information attached to her page underneath here. Go and check out what she's doing. She is giving you a wealth of knowledge. Go take you some classes that she's offering. As you can see, sis knows what she's talking about, and it's time for us to be better.
Yes, girl. Thank you for having me, Amanda. I am so grateful and honored to be a part of this.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, hon. Good talking with you.
All right.